Hey everybody, Ken Plume here with a brand new bit of a chat. This is a format. I don't want anyone to call it a format. It's a thing I haven't been doing for a while. I've been doing other things. I decided to go back to the other thing that I had fun doing. That's the thing that I think that more people should do. So in doing this, I'm having fun, wonderful guests to come on and have conversations. No, you are fun. I'm going to introduce you in just a sec. You super fun, super wonderful. You're both of those things.
I'm great on paper.
An absolutely astonishing, wonderful artist. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, The Fix, Hawkman, Metamorpho, Detective Comics, The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. How many things? You've done too much. The problem is you really can't let white out. We can just keep listing things and awards. And Steve Lieber, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
So, there's so much that I left out. There's so many other things that you've done. Do you ever look at what you've done over the course of now? You can legitimately say a long career.
Yeah.
You've reached the long career part.
Yeah. Yeah. Old. Can I swear?
Yo, yeah, by all means.
I'm old as shit. I'm just old as shit.
Seasoned. You're seasoned.
Yes. Yeah. I'm seasoned shit.
Please let that make it into the next Eisner bio.
Yeah. I've been at this. I got out of art school in 1990, and after a brief break doing commercial art and storyboards for ad agencies and telemarketing and everything else that a 20 something does to pay the rent. I broke into comics pretty much full time in 92. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
So when you talk about doing the commercial art route, was comics always seen like as that would be fun, but that's not going to bring money in. I really should pursue a professional art career, or the professional art career was I need something to support me doing my comics work.
I got out of school. I had accumulated all the knowledge I needed to build a career, but I just didn't have the chops yet. I needed another 2 years of making samples and getting my rookie mistakes out of the way and all that kind of thing. And storyboards, which have, especially like advertising storyboards, they call for much less polished finish. That was a good place for me to work some of the rough edges off of my stuff. And it pays, even at the very start of the career, it pays way better than comics did. So.
And you have to do a lot very fast.
Yeah. So I was able to get my skills up and build up the war chest a little bit and get prepared for the rockiness of an actual comics career. But that was always the goal. I didn't want to draw storyboards for ad agencies or carefully render beer cans or anything like that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. God bless every beer can renderer out there. It was just not what I went to art school for.
So if you were sitting at a convention today and you of then walked up with a portfolio and asked for your opinion.
Oh, wow. I know exactly what I'd tell the guy. I would say, young Steve, I see what you're trying to do with all this bravura brushwork, but maybe focus on your basic drawing and try to leave the master strokes to the masters. And then young Steve would say, well, this guy has no taste. He doesn't understand what's good.
He doesn't know what art is.
It would completely blow off knowledgeable old Steve and not give a damn what he said.
I don't even read your books.
Yeah, what I needed at that point was just to really knuckle down and focus on basic drawing. They don't call it basic because it's easy. It's basic because it's the base. It's the foundation of everything you want to do and everything you want to accomplish.
Do you think that you, at that period, were just more introduced in the Flash aspects, the sort of impressing somebody, whoever that somebody may be?
I think on some level I was aware that I didn't have my basics really down yet. So I was trying to make up for that by
So it's like a misdirect.
by waving my arms and shouting, and
He keeps lighting fires all over the place, but we just want to see if he can draw this panel. What is going on?
Exactly.
So that what is the earliest published work in any field, even if it's advertising, that's still extant out there that can be looked at?
I inked some backgrounds. I mean, and my name isn't on this, and I couldn't even tell you what issue it was. But I inked some backgrounds for a DC comic in my first year at the Kubert School for one of my teachers who was behind on a deadline. It was like an issue of Captain Atom or something, but that's not really findable. I guess the earliest findable thing with my name on it would be a comic called Roadways, one word, that I inked and lettered over a terrific artist named Ted Slampiak. And that's out at, there's at least 2 or 3 editions that were published of it. I think it's still in print right now too. But I don't think I came into my own and started doing things that people were going to want to see probably until Grendel Tales or Whiteout.
And did you agree with them as far as the assessment of things people want to see? I mean, was there a certain point when you got happy with your work?
There were panels that I could live with, but for the most part, even in the moment, looking at my published work was like looking at, like, think of the worst photo you took in high school. With the hair that's doing something strange, or the shirt that doesn't fit quite right, and the skin's breaking out or whatever. That was what my artwork looked like to me. And now I look at it and it looks worse, frankly. But yeah, I was extremely aware of my flaws, and I just remembered, Joe Kubert would hammer into us, it's not your job to determine whether your stuff is any good or not. Yeah, it's your job to tell the story that you're given to tell, to solve the problems that you're hired to solve, and if something doesn't work, fix it on the next one.
So is that then the overarching takeaway in all of that, is that you should see yourself as an evolving artist?
Yeah.
And focus on that part of it. And if you're able to sell stuff in the meantime, great. Keep at it.
If someone is willing to pay you to get better, take that paycheck. and keep moving forward. Yeah.
So as far as, you were doing the background stuff so Hawkman was sort of the first big title.
Yeah. I picked up like short stories here and there and things. I actually broke in at Dark Horse by accident before I did Hawkman. But it's a weird way to phrase it, but
yeah,
a friend of mine had written an 8-page story, and I liked it, and I was trying to do a new 8-page sample every month, so I was either writing things myself or hunting around for scripts. My friend had written this 8-page story that I thought was really cool, so I drew it up as a sample. I penciled, inked, and hand lettered it, and I sent it off to literally every editor in the business. Which is what I did every month. And one of the editors it landed on was the guy who was editing Dark Horse Presents.
The anthology title, yeah.
Yeah, and I just got lucky because my 8-page sample arrived the day that somebody told this editor that he was not going to have his 8-page story done on time.
So perfect length. Yeah, available,
already lettered. Nice clean Xeroxes that they can put on the stat camera and call it good. So my samples arrived. They said, "Has this been published anywhere? Would you like to publish it?" I said, "Let me check with my agent." I didn't have one, but I didn't want to see. I didn't want to seem too thirsty. Hello, yeah. And it wound up getting published and paid a a perfectly good page rate for something that I thought was just a sample, just dumb luck.
So was that just a blind phone call that they received this and then called you out of the blue? And
yeah.
So what was the turnaround time from when you had sent it in to when you got the phone call?
However long it took the mail to get from Pittsburgh to Oregon. So
you sent this out with no expectations, shot in the dark, and suddenly you're getting a phone call going, we're going to publish this if it's...
Yeah, literally my whole break-in strategy, this was pre-email, pre-digital anything, was on the first day of the month, I would pack up like a 2.5 foot stack of manila envelopes with 8-page samples. And it mailed them out to literally every editor, every assistant editor, every art director, every writer whose address I could find. Just anybody who could conceivably hire me. On the first day of the month, I mailed them that month's sample, with the idea that the most risky thing about hiring a new artist is about 40% of us will just flake out of nowhere. And I figure if they're getting new stuff from me every month, they would see that I was making deadlines before I had any deadlines. So I was just mailing just to establish reliability, with no expectation that anything was actually, that any one thing was going to lead to a job, and certainly that my samples were going to get published.
I mean, within that 40%, that flake, what is the breakdown on what usually causes an artist to...
Well, that's a good question. I mean, sometimes it's like when you send in samples, you had literally every day of your life up until the moment you sealed the envelope to work on those samples. And then you get the first job and it's like, you got 2 weeks. So suddenly the pressure is very different. Add on to that the fact that people who want to do this, they've made it their dream. They've put everything they've got into it. Then they sit down and they know that if I drop the ball, if I fuck this up, it's all going to fall apart and I'm never, my dream is dead. And that's not actually the case, but the pressure is still there, and a lot of folks just can't handle that, and I can't blame them.
And you're not cherry picking at that point what you get to draw, what you get to work on. You can't go, I don't like that character, or I'm not really good with cars. I can't really draw vehicles. That's not my strong suit.
One of the first jobs that I had to draw something completely myself was painting. It's like an 16 or 18 page story, something like that was set on an Old West horse ranch. And so, a kid in Pittsburgh does not see a lot of horses.
Here's the deep end.
Yeah.
And now, if you want me to draw the inside of a sheets cooler, I can do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you have no idea what you're going to get. My first thing at the first thing I drew at DC was like a Hawkman story, but Hawkman was barely in the pages they gave me, so I was drawing like Green Berets fighting a covert battle in Cambodia. So lots and lots of 1960s automatic weaponry and things like that, and
so a lot of mechanical. And people would recognize if you got it wrong too.
Yeah, the guys who care about unit badges and stuff like that, they care a lot.
That's someone going, Hawkman's feathers wouldn't lay that way.
Yeah. So the whole thing was just running around, and before Google, so I'm going to the library and buying those military hobbyist books and getting myself on weird lists and things like that.
What's the weirdest purchase you've made? Singular purchase for research and reference.
I had to buy a sit and spin a couple of years ago. This
has Matt Fraction written all over it, but
no, that was Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson, actually.
Oh, it's a Matt. It's a Matt thing.
Yeah, it's a Matt thing. Yeah, for a book called Backflash, where a character has discovered he's got the powers to find objects from his childhood and use them for time travel. And so I was constantly gathering up childhood ephemera that this character could interact with, and it would not be hard to draw the shape of a sentence spin out of my head, but to actually figure out how a full-grown adult would fit on it trying to sit, I needed to actually see that.
It's not made to accommodate an adult.
Yeah. So yeah, bought
so you
that
have.
off
So what I'm hearing is you have photo reference as well.
tons, and like the model that I used for most of my Jimmy Olsen reference is a woman named Dylan McConis, a great cartoonist who I share a studio with. And Dylan was a variety of months of pregnant the whole time that I was photographing her for Jimmy, which pregnant Jimmy
is a thing that would happen with Jimmy. I mean,
exactly, yeah. It's its own weird fanfic already, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a sequel to me. It sounds like
I'll talk to Fraction. We'll see if we can get that.
I mean, you guys got to go back to that world at some point.
We talk about it. I mean, well, we are doing a short thing that we'll be starting on it probably next week. There's a Marvel DC crossover thing that's been happening, and we're doing a short story where Jimmy Olsen meets Carnage.
It's natural what you would go to first as far as
absolutely, yeah. I don't know how these things are arrived at, but
I'm sure it's a redhead thing.
Yeah,
It's
look at that. Yeah, writing this down. Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I remember, pre-pandemic times, was standing in line for Smuggler's Run at Disneyland.
Oh wow.
With Matt,
mm-hmm.
and talking about what was coming up for Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah,
and boy, how the world changed. This was New Year's Day, 2020.
Yeah,
is when we're standing in line for this. Yeah. So,
I one of the things that still amazes me about that point is that in like late February of 2020, there was the Comics Pro meeting where all the comics retailers and publishers and the creators of the projects they want to promote all get together for a big trade show. It's not a convention; it's just for the marketing
shop
stuff.
talk.
Yeah, but 400 or 500 retailers all converged on the same hotel. A big chunk of the industry. And that happened in Portland in February of 2020.
Not great timing.
No, all I could think was like, one guy decides that the sniffle he's got in the back of his throat is no big deal and comes to the thing.
We've all seen the movies. We follow that person in a one shot as they.
Yeah, it would have taken out the industry, Maybe for the best. I can't really say, but yeah.
No, it was certainly. I was doing a convention at that last week of February, and then spent 5 straight days at Disney World. Right after that convention.
Oh God!
And I remember at the convention, everyone was doing that was when the Purell started coming in. Of like, okay, well, I'm not going. No one's going to do the shaking hands thing. No one's like, this thing was floating out there as a. Yeah. Well, have you heard a little bit about that? Well, let's just have the Purell on the table. Let's not do this. And
what I was imagining was that they would continue to have conventions, but they have that like that vegetable spritzer at the high end groceries where the
continual misting
goes. Yeah, that they would just have that butt Purell and you'd walk through it as you entered the car.
Or just a barrier in front of...
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you're sitting there having that in the back of your mind as far as, I should be more aware of this. When you're sitting at table and you're very much below the mouth breathing level of everyone walking up to you when you're sitting at a table on Artist Alley or anything, and you're just, you're just vectoring down on me. That's everyone who walks up. It's not a prime position for a concern like that.
Yeah.
But it was it having that Jimmy Olsen book in that time, and I can't imagine what even creating in that time was like, and keeping in that headspace, a lighter headspace for that.
I'll tell you what, I've always been wired to escape from whatever horrible stuff is happening around me in the real world by plunging myself into reading or making comics or drawing. There's nothing like a problem to solve, a task to complete that helps me cope with horrible shit in the real world. It's been that way since I was like 5 years old. So I was well situated for that. The world's going to shit. I'm going to sit here and try to make this joke as goofy and extended as possible, and I'm just gonna fill the background with all the Bill Elder chicken fat gags that I can think of.
I mean, as far as books you could be working on at a depressing time,
it was perfect. It was perfect. Yeah. I
mean, that must have been a great. You talk a little bit about this. There was a really great documentary about the making of it that's on YouTube that people should go check out. A little conversation. But the thing that really struck me and sort of a hyper awareness of when it's really started to hit was when everyone talking about, because you have the Helioscope studio that you work with a lot of amazing people with there.
Yeah.
And having that be a ghost town and be shut down during that period.
That was so rough, man. I would go in like once a month to a room that, we'd rented that space. We'd been in that particular room since 2007. And the group had been together since 2002. And I would go into the room and just see the 3D layers of dust accumulating on people's tables, and pick up the mail that the post office was diligently sliding under our door every day, and just felt like it felt post-apocalyptic. I'm a ghost haunting this place where I used to live. And thank goodness for Zoom meetings, and my friends and I started getting together on Zoom regularly just to see other faces and remind ourselves that there's still a world out there.
So what was the studio? So going back to the starting of that studio, it's always fascinating when you have, there are clearly some artists that savor the isolation and working in solitude. But then you have these beautiful collectives also that come together. And
I was a solitary guy for 10 years. But there comes a point when you start to realize why it is that they punish prisoners by putting them in solitary. I'd listened to every podcast and played every record that I like. And I just needed to be around people again, and also, get out of my own head, hear other people joking around while I'm working. I might still not be talking to them. I might just be listening to ambient noise, but but
there's a presence around you.
Exactly, and frankly, I like using. I mentioned using photo reference, and it was a big part of how I worked. On Jimmy and a couple books before that, to have my studio mates pose. And it makes a big difference having a skilled cartoonist posing for reference, because ordinary folks, everyone's trained themselves to have, here's the smile I make when someone's taking my picture. And a cartoonist knows that, no, you have to be willing to look like an absolute jackass to make for a good reference photo, to exaggerate a pose in ways that'll look good when those shapes are turned into a drawing.
Yeah, I need the illustrative reality.
Yeah. And, the input, the back and forth, hey, which do you think is funnier? Does this work for you? Should I shoot it from the front or from the back? The kibitzing, all of that input, and it was just gone.
When you had gotten, I mean, at that point, you had been doing that sort of work in that studio for what, as long as you'd been working solo, if not a little bit longer by that point?
Longer, yeah.
So you were more of that artist than you were what you were previous to that.
Absolutely, yeah. And certainly, when I made the transition from being the naturalistic crime artist guy to the lighthearted, funny, snarky guy, the funny stuff is where I really was using a lot more reference, because there was a whole lot of conversation stuff, following two characters very closely, all requiring closely observed minutia of gestures and expressions. Whereas when I was doing adventure stuff or crime stuff, I could draw much more broadly. You wouldn't think that would be, that crime stories would call for broader illustration than humor, but for the kind of humor I was doing, the restrained naturalism is what sold it.
But I mean, it certainly has been discussed in multiple mediums, but would you agree with the assessment that comedy is harder than drama?
Certainly is for me. Boy, I can get the impact from violence or suspense just by describing the scenario. Whereas for humor, it's all nuance, and I'll try everything from 3 different angles. I'll try 6 or 7 different curls of a smile or arches of an eyebrow, or maybe a character. Is it funnier if a character's looking away when he says something? And there's no objective answer for any of these things. You just have to think about it until it's no longer funny to you at all. But
which is what all the great comedians say, is that this is a craft. This is not. Yeah, this is difficult. We have to work at this.
It's. I imagine it's like being a cook who's tinkering with a recipe, and after the 500th taste, you no longer want to taste your tomato sauce anymore. But you still have to decide which. You know what
they call it, the Chef Boyardee curse. After a while, he was. Yeah. Chef Boyardee was going, I'm not going to no more. I don't want any more spaghetti. I don't want any more pasta sauce.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing to mention about, humor theorists say the darndest things, but, but it was a great lesson. This stuff is hard. And if you get it just a little bit, even just a little bit wrong, like if I get an adventure panel or a crime panel a little bit wrong, you move through the story, nobody cares. But when something is supposed to be funny and it isn't, people hate you. They really hate you.
And also, is it a pressure that's on you as well when you're also working in collaboration? So if you fail, you're not failing alone in this. And vice versa. If a writer can drag down an artist can drag down a writer if it doesn't work.
Yes. And I don't worry about that so much because I'm a heartless sociopath. But
this industry has hardened you.
Yeah, it really has. No, with the thing I worry about with my collaborators is more deadline stuff, frankly. Just knowing that there's a letterer and a color artist coming after me on that assembly line, and that if I don't solve these storytelling problems and get the pages done and off to them in time, I'm actually going to screw up their life. They're not going to get to go see their kids play or go on vacation with their spouse or whatever, because I was there with my wrist on my forehead thinking, oh no, I haven't reached the truth of this moment yet. You know,
do you play that out? Do you see them walking up to their child and going, I can't take you to the park today. Steve didn't send the pages in.
Yeah.
Uncle Steve failed us again.
In the earlier days of my career, I had a few patches where I did do that to people, and I did mess up. Do
you have this fear of just sitting at a convention and some young person walks up to you and goes, you know, I really didn't have the great childhood. I didn't have the connection I felt with my parents. You know, they were an anchor on your book in 1999.
I think it was Al Williamson he had a stretch at the end of his career where he was inking a lot of other people, and a friend of mine told me that Al one of the first things he would ask about a potential collaborator is, does he have kids? And he wanted people who have kids because that's somebody who has more bills to pay and needs to keep
the pressure is on.
Pages. Yeah. You get some callow 20-something who can pay their rent with 2.5 pages of work, and there's no pressure. They'll go out and see a movie instead of getting another page.
But Al knows he has that emotional leverage over on you. You gotta.
Yeah.
So it's the subtle nuance of, you know, where does the lip curl in this one and so much humor can land on that. You know, not since, you know, the glory days of stuff like Justice League International and books like that. That's really what that evoked, and now I knew, oh, this is something special.
Thank you.
In seeing that collaboration.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, I spoke about how hard it was to learn how to do comedy in comics, and despite the name, there aren't that many people in Anglophone comics who do it. I found myself,
because the industry also hasn't really supported it. I mean, it's been a very niche thing. You might have the occasional, and then you'll have a backlash that, well, what are we making them funny? They're not funny. Yeah. They're supposed to be grim, or they're supposed to be.
Yeah, Michael Chabon did a speech at the Eisners once talking about that, and he said it beautifully. He said, you know, there's nobody more sophomoric than a sophomore. You know, it's like, there it is, you know, and I remember being that sophomore, and no, it's important people realize that these aren't just for kids anymore.
I think it's anyone who can't be comfortable with just saying it's a comic book.
Yeah,
is a pretty easy tell for someone who's not comfortable with liking these things still and want to find.
Exactly. Yeah. I found myself going to, like, the big humor influences for comic books for me. John Stanley did Little Lulu and stuff like that. I'll say it right now, a genius. He's amazing. I look at issues of Little Lulu and the stuff feels as fresh as any alternative comic that's coming out today. Just bang on great stuff. Harvey Kurtzman, of course, Mad Magazine. Jaime Hernandez is an amazing synthesizer of influences, who then brought in his own POV on top of it and did wild, great things. Does wild, great things. He's for my money, he's the best cartoonist working in North America right now. Hank Ketchum and the artists in his circle. And a few French artists. But for the most part, I found myself instead, like, trying to translate, or in addition, not instead, trying to translate a lot of TV and film comedy rhythms into comics.
Which is, when you talk about, comedy being about timing.
Yeah.
And you're having to find and freeze moments that convey that timing and communicate that through static moments on a page.
Yeah.
And work for that to land. You don't, in a comedian can deliver like a slow burn. You could have a Jack Benny moment, but how do you pull off a Jack Benny moment when, you have your images? Well, what you're basically landing on what's that final resting spot that conveys that ultimate Jack Benny moment without having the ability to move anything.
Yeah. And it helps that I've always interacted with comics as a rhythmic medium. And this is where I bore the pants off of everybody trying to talk about this stuff. Because the moment you start talking about, well, it's a rhythmic medium and the pictures have a certain rhythm, you just sound like somebody's idiot stoner roommate. There's no vocabulary for this. There's no.
Well, you know what? Sometimes they're fun and interesting to talk to. So we're going to continue down that path.
Yeah. But pictures have a rhythm. They have a certain impact. They can be staccato. They can be flowing and rhythmic. They can have 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats. And I'm extremely aware of that stuff, and I have been since I was a kid. I can point out the exact moment when I started being aware of using comics to communicate rhythm in storytelling. And it was I found a big reprint of old EC comics, and most of them did not use rhythm at all. They just had a wall of text and then a gorgeous illustration underneath it. But Bernie Krigstein did a story called Master Race in crime suspense stories or shock suspense stories. I forget which one it was. And that's a story where he physically cut up the boards that they had given him the story on. The way EC would work is they would send the artists pre-lettered boards with the amount of room they had left for each panel, and he didn't like the rhythms those gave him, so he would physically cut them up and rework them to make more rhythmic sense.
He's doing a remix.
Yeah, and Google this Master Race Bernard Krigstein. You'll see what I'm talking about. He repeated panels for slow motion. He used other panels that were designed to be really, really fast and loud. And for the first time, I was both enjoying the story and seeing the wizard behind the curtain manipulating all these tools for storytelling effects. And that was the moment when I transferred my interest from the characters to telling stories about these characters, and that kicked me on the path right there.
Do you recall when you first incorporated that into work that you were doing?
From the first time I ever tried to make comics, I was thinking about that stuff, and I wasn't doing it well. I didn't have I didn't have the chops to pull it off ever, but I was constantly thinking hard about this is fast, slow, this is loud, this is quiet, this goes like this and like that, and then whoa, yeah.
And knowing that in your layout, you also have to you're the one pushing the reader along,
yeah,
and guiding them to what they should look at next through your layout, through the way you're executing that page is how they're going to follow that page.
Yeah. And that's another thing that just took a lot of practice, learning about the techniques an artist has for creating, here's a jargon for you, a hierarchy of focus. Where does my eyeball go first? Where does my eye go second? Where does my eye go third? Do I see the picture and then read the balloon? Do I see the balloon first and then read the picture underneath it? There's different effects that you can get from one or the other.
So what is your process then? So when you're sitting down, you've got a script, and you're going to execute. So and you can pick, if you want to pick an example of a page that really in your mind was one that you really had to sit down and figure out the mechanics of it. What is your process as far as your roughs, how do you approach it?
Thumbnails. Basically, a thumbnail drawing is called that because it's literally about the size of your thumbnail. Picture tiny little scribble drawings, maybe the size of a credit card, where I'll just scribble out the page. I'll make a little blub for the amount of text I think I'll need, and I'll doodle the things underneath. And I'll just do a whole bunch of those until I see one where things start to hit correctly. It's just a lot of trial and error. And I used to have to draw things a lot more elaborately to be able to see whether it worked or not. Now, 30 years into this, you get pretty good at visualizing what it's going to look like from a doodle that to anybody else just looks like something a mental patient came up with. Wow, there's looks like a clothespin and a bucket. No, that's the Hulk. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
He keeps saying it's Batman.
Exactly, yeah. I'll just work out lots and lots of tiny little credit cards.
Which your storyboard work, certainly helped with that approach too.
Yeah. Although, like, I wasn't doing the problem-solving kind of storyboards. I wasn't not like the kind of storyboards you think of in animation. These were the kind of storyboards that a guy at an ad agency will say, and there's 7 beautiful people at the party. So it's more of a presentation board.
Yeah,
exactly. It was my job to draw a lot of families barbecuing and
for ad execs who don't have an imagination too.
Exactly. Yeah, they can point. Look at these happy people drinking Iron City beer or Heinz ketchup or any of the other brands that I want to do a lot of stuff for.
I wish you had sold Heinz ketchup as a beverage, and that was one of the ad campaigns you were trying to work on.
I did have
a cool can of Heinz.
Yeah, I did have a person who tell me that I needed the ketchup bottle to be. Can you make it sexier?
I don't know. Could you? It's your bottle.
Yeah, I don't want to see your porn file, sir. Yeah.
So you drew a little bikini on it.
Yeah. I think what I wound up doing is just put more those little beads of condensation on it.
You glistened it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they were happy. They're like, yes, that's exactly what I was imagining.
The check cleared, so I imagine so, but it's not really for me to say.
It's the ultimate verification. The check cleared.
Yeah.
So you're doing your thumbnails and your roughs to get you're figuring out the layout.
Yeah, and once I have that in place, then the next thing I do is letter the page. I letter before I do any real drawing, because I want to know how much room I have. And if it looks like a balloon is going to squeeze a panel too much, I'll break it into 2 just so I can have a natural rhythm flowing between the 2 panels. I'll adjust things for, does making that one change 5 other things on the page? And then once I have that, I'll gather my friends and make them do ridiculous poses to help me work out the drawing.
We really needed to see more of that photo reference in the trade paperback.
Yeah, I've got them all on my phone. Every once in a while, to embarrass my friends, I'll post stuff. Nobody's at their best in these things. And there's always it forces everybody I know. Nobody can walk past one of these photo sessions without photobombing it themselves. I mean, so there's always a head coming in at 45 degrees.
This is all I want then for if not this year, we're a little close. Maybe the year after. We need the Helioscope photo reference calendar.
There it is. Oh God!
And you choose your 12 best to represent for each month of the year.
Yeah. the idea of sacrificing even one decent tree for that, man, that's rough.
It's all digital.
Yeah, there we go.
But now you need to start thinking about that. Maybe start rolling them out for 2026. The world needs the helioscope calendars.
Yeah. But so back on the process. After I'll shoot photo reference. I'll Frankenstein things together. I'll start drawing on top of it. A lot of times I use a background assistant on Jimmy Olsen and Metamorpho and a couple other projects. It's been a guy named Tom Rogers, who's a terrific cartoonist all by himself, and he's been wonderful. I will give him shapes and perspective guidelines, or here's a photo of the motorcycle that so and so is sitting on, or here's the layout of the room as I was picturing it, and he'll actually work out the perspective and keep the room consistent, and just does fantastic work. And he's got a sense of humor too, which helps. He's snuck in some very good jokes. Then Tom will send me backgrounds back, and I'll go and I'll make the tweaks to harmonize my line art and his line art to make it all look like it's made of the same stuff and coming from the same place. And I almost never color my own work, so that it usually goes out to a color artist. And I've been ridiculously lucky with the collaborators I've had in color. The wrong color artist can kill a story, they can kill a joke, they can make things not work entirely. What I said before about hierarchy of focus, how I'm working to decide your eye goes here first and here second and here third. A color artist can completely screw up that hierarchy just by putting a warm color in the wrong place, a cool color in the wrong place, by flattening things out, by overemphasizing the depth, by doing too much. They can do an absolutely gorgeous job of rendering and modeling and lighting, but if they do that at the wrong time, it becomes a beautiful portrait that you want to explore rather than a single moment in a whole progression that leads to a punchline.
Or it could just be a cacophony if they don't have any skill.
Exactly.
As we saw with a lot of the early digital work in the 90s, when everyone thought they could be a colorist because there were all these digital tools and they could use fills, and we're looking at these gradients. We got gradients now.
Yeah. When I talk about this stuff to mentees about how a picture can be too well executed or have too beautiful, even if the actual craftsmanship is exquisite, it's imagine telling a joke. You say a guy goes into a bar. You don't say a guy goes to a bar that was built in the year 1912. The bar itself is made of a rich, warm mahogany. You don't want to. You want to strip things down to the material that's useful, and throw away everything else.
What do you think, particularly in comic books as a collaborative medium, in the way that it is, that everyone has to, for it to really come together well, have an awareness and an appreciation that collaboration exists and you're a component within it?
Yes, absolutely.
That you're not just there, you're not just there to make an incredible black and white pinup.
Yeah. And in fact, by doing so, you could be fucking over your collaborators. What's the cliche in acting? Don't use this job to audition for the next one.
And every component. I mean, the letterers also. So much of how the lettering lands on a page or looks on a page can affect your how you read a page, how that lands.
Yeah. It makes me really grateful that I went to the Gilbert School and I didn't specialize in it, but I learned how to color. I learned how to hand letter. So I've done every one of these jobs. So I have a sense for what my collaborators are fighting with and what they need to do.
And to not make problems for them.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if I'm not lettering a comic, I still letter it before, like I mentioned, letter it before I pencil, because I want to make sure that there is plenty of room for them to do their thing. It doesn't, if they're not good at their job, nothing's going to keep them from screwing you over.
Right. But do you think that there's sometimes people don't understand that there's a difference when it comes to collaboration between presenting somebody with a challenge and presenting people with a problem?
That's beautifully put. That's exactly it. I'm happy to present them with a challenge. And usually that challenge is how can we make this funnier? How can we make this joke land more effectively? How can we make this a surprising image that still feels inevitable? That kind of stuff. What I don't want to do is put them in a position where they're trying to clean up my mess.
Right. Which I'm sure you've been in that position.
Yeah,
numerous times as well.
And I've put other people in it because I've when I've looked at Xeroxes of my old pencils from the start of my career. And there's a whole lot of places where rather than putting down one smart, well-informed line, I was kind of shaking my pencil over the things and rubbing things in, and putting down 15 lines, the mathematical average of which may have been the correct line, but what I was really doing is making
you were presenting options.
Yeah. Yes. Here's 14 shitty options, and maybe there's a good one in there.
Yeah.
It's your job to find it.
Start panning.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, at what point is there work that you look at still and you go, I don't want to look at this. I can't, or are you that self-critical that you do have issues with that?
Yeah, it is physically painful for me to look at almost anything I did before 1998. Really.
So is whiteout kind of a demarcation point for you?
Hugely so.
And why do you think that is?
Well, it was the first long-form story I got to work on where it was entirely me. I penciled it, I inked it, I did I cut every piece of zip toed, and I hand lettered it. I was looking at every page so long that I would go in and that I had time to fix everything. It was a really, really solid story that I knew how to tell, and I was able to deploy all that rhythm stuff I was talking about without being on an assembly line with other folks who didn't think like me at all.
And didn't think like you at all in what ways?
They were trying to make an attractive picture or trying to use interesting colors that they like that, again, messed up the hierarchy of focus that I was talking about. I wasn't really drawing for color. I didn't understand what was involved in that. Lettering placement was not always what I wanted to see, and I wasn't always making enough room for it. It was the first comic that looked like the drawings I was proud of in my sketchbooks. In addition to working well as a comic, because nobody else was touching the things, every line of it was mine. Every mistake was mine. There was no plausible deniability. Well, no, this sucks because of him. But I could look at it and it actually felt like mine, and that made a huge difference. And a lot of it is just, frankly, that I had, at that point, I'd been paid every month for 6 years to get my rookie mistakes out of the way. And I'd finally shaken a lot of that stuff off, and I had some skills.
How much of a unique position was it to be on a project like that, to be doing it with Greg Rucka, who was fresh to comics?
His first comic.
Yeah, fresh to comics, and sort of maybe would not have known enough to not trust you in that position because...
honestly, I'm sure for Greg, it's like looking at that first series is like looking at my early drawings where you see nothing but rookie mistakes. But, there's a reason why he was nominated for the Eisner for Best Writer for his very first comic. He had it from day one. Everything he was asking for in that script was something that I knew I could deliver, and I knew how to deliver it. And a lot of it was stuff I'd never done before, but I could visualize it in my head and make it come out on paper. And I'll whisper this part here. A nice thing about doing a story set in Antarctica is if part of a drawing isn't working, you can cover that part with snow. That'll get you out of a lot of trouble, kids.
Well, you know what? You found a solution for a challenge.
Yes, yeah, and part of my instinct as an artist was maximalism. I would render the hell out of things. I would layer textures, and this was a book where that made sense. Antarctica, it's not just cold, it's also the windiest environment on Earth and the biggest desert on Earth. So all the strange textural things that I like doing in my sketchbooks made sense in that storytelling context. And in a way that they absolutely did not make sense when telling a story set in Gotham City or whatever.
It's Gotham during a hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was the right story, the right setting, the right situation. Everything was great. I mean, the page rate wasn't great.
But that also, I'm assuming, also took some of the pressure off. Like, no one was expecting this to be revelatory or to be other than this. Hey, this is a fun idea.
No. I took it was like an 80% page rate cut. I was making 20 cents on the dollar from what I had been making at DC Comics to tell that story. So
you viewed it then as an opportunity, to explore and evolve.
I frankly thought that comics was going to be through with me because like nothing I had done had caught on, and I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to keep getting hired for this stuff. I broke in the early 90s when everybody was starting a publishing company. Whiteout came out in 98 when companies were contracting like crazy.
Yeah, the industry was in free fall at that point.
Yeah, I thought, well, if I'm going, if I have to leave this and get a job at a bakery somewhere, at least I'll do one story that really accomplished what I went to art school to try to accomplish. And because of the situation, when the pay is that atrocious, the publishing house doesn't have a whole lot of leverage to say, no, you have to do it our way. You have to, we're going to hire a team of colorists from Paraguay who will not speak your language or whatever.
But you took an 80% cut. But you probably put in 80% more work on it than you normally would.
Yeah, I did 4 issues in a year. Usually I did an issue a month.
So what was the thing that was the most intensive for you in it?
The research was really big because I didn't know what Antarctica looked like. And this is 98, 99. It's before Google. So I was working the internet as hard as I could using, here's where I age myself, Alta Vista and Ask Jeeves and what have you.
And if Jeeves doesn't know, then...
Yeah. But mainly I was I was hitting the library. I was finding every article about Antarctica I could find. I found people online who were there, and I would send cold emails saying, "Hey, you don't know who I am. I'm some guy drawing a comic book. Is this what this would look like?" Just cold calling strangers.
You kept rewatching The Thing.
Yeah. My understanding is that people in Antarctica love The Thing because they really like the idea that everybody who works there is issued a flamethrower.
It just came in on one of the planes.
Yeah, it just seems reasonable. Yeah, I'm sure you work there long enough and you start to feel like you deserve one. An example from that. I was drawing a scene set in the cafeteria at McMurdo Base. So I started to draw it, and I had a camera shot where we're looking past somebody's tray is in the foreground, and I've got one of those little cafeteria cartons of milk like you'd have in grade school. And I thought, I better check on this. And I emailed a guy who said he was willing to answer some questions for me, and I said, would they have little cafeteria cartons of milk at McMurdo? And he said, well, first, Steve, that's a Navy base, so that's a galley, not a cafeteria. Okay, check that one off. Second, you need cows for that, Steve. They don't have cows there. So, they have milk, but it's in big metal urns and it's powdered.
Yeah, reconstituted.
Exactly.
So they're going to have a glass.
So I got the pages back from the publisher. I whited out the little pitch tent at the top of the carton and turned.
And you put a snowdrift in. No.
Yeah, I turned it into a piece of cafeteria sheet cake, yellow cake with chocolate frosting on top. And in the background, as a hat tip, I drew the two little metal samovar milk dispensers. And the book was full of stuff like that. And I got the best compliment I got for it was from Vijaya Iyer, who's Jeff Smith's wife, Bone, who had worked as, I think, a logistics manager at McMurdo Base.
She's done everything.
Yeah. And she asked me when I was there. And I was like, yes. Yes. Got it.
I mean, there's an anniversary coming up, so maybe it's time to visit.
Yeah, boy. One of my studio mates actually landed the Antarctic Artists Grant and was flown down there, flew down to Chile and then took a Russian icebreaker to go to Antarctica and paint wildlife. She went and did a whole bunch of, they're not watercolors, they were vodka colors.
So that was the medium?
Well, yeah, if you try to do watercolor, the water freezes, but if you use vodka, it stays wet. So she painted vodka colors of the snowy sheathbill and other Antarctic birds. And I was like, okay, I felt like I was doing a heroic act of research by typing words into Alta Vista.
Listen, trying to do any research on the net at that time was a heroic act.
Yeah.
You really had to be dedicated to follow through on that and find anything.
I can still hear my dial-up modem. Oh, it's the worst.
And listen, you did far more research than they did for the film adaptation.
Yeah. I mean, God bless him. The guy who did the production design for that is the same guy who designed the cars for the Road Warrior movies. He's a genuine production badass, but
doesn't mean it's authentic too.
No, yeah,
no, it very much was a movie of its time.
Yeah, and it's completely unfair for me to even try to judge it. Because, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just double tracking, thinking, okay, that's not how I handled that scene. And it's not fair to watch a movie that way. You have to take it as its own thing. And I was taking it as an interpretation of my stuff, which is the last thing was on their mind.
Well, I mean, having rewatched it recently,
Oh wow.
it and having reread Whiteout recently, you very easily could do that story again in an adaptation, and no one would make any comparisons whatsoever to it.
Yeah. The best moment on the set that I can share with you, because I got to do a set visit, was I nearly choked to death, and Kate Beckinsale walked past me texting while it was happening.
I can think of no better description of the artist's lot in life.
Yeah, it was my own stupid fault, mind you. This is they were doing a scene. They were shooting indoors. A character is coming in from outdoors into a life hut. It was a maintenance hut or something, and they've got the giant fans blowing the fake snow, and they told everybody, hold your breath. Action. They shoot the scene, cut. And when they said cut, I thought, okay, it's safe for me to inhale now. And I thought they were just saying hold your breath because of like the mics would pick up the sound or something. No. The stuff they use for the fake snow, the moment it hits the back of your throat or any kind of moisture, it turns into like the same wheat paste you use to paste up flyers
like
on
a phone sludge
pole. Yeah. And it just sealed my throat. So I'm sitting there trying to give myself the Heimlich maneuver. No air is getting it down my windpipe. And Kate just walks by, texts.
You know what? Now I just need to see your drawings recreating this scene. I need you to do.
God. Yeah.
For when the autobiography comes out, that'll be.
I'm looking at picture of Bill Sienkiewicz drawing with one eye really huge. Ralph Steadman or something. Yeah,
and her just walking past, just completely.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah.
Was it oblivious or was it just?
No. Well, I mean, she was probably texting with her kid or something. There's. I'm not sure if she knew who I was. I was just some idiot on the set who's making a weird noise.
So how long did you spend on the set?
Just like 2 or 3 days, I think. I got to watch, scenes get shot over and over. If you've been on set, it's not particularly interesting.
No.
It's a whole lot of repetition, and the main thing I took away from it was just heartbreaking gratitude for what I do for a living, because they hit a point when they were filming it where they were in double overtime. A huge union crew is all making twice their rate because they've been working so long. And at one point, the producer stood behind the director and just said to him, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
Which makes it really easy at that point to lock in and.
Yeah. And, and you're
over there at Crafty just loading up a plate going, wow, this is really tense.
Yeah. One of the guys, one of the higher ups there had, the big bowl you bring out at your party to put the Doritos in, the really
party
giant
bowl.
The big party bowl. He had that full of M&Ms and he was just fisting them into his mouth, just stress eating. And because it was a ridiculous amount of money, in that little countdown, just in the time that he was saying that behind the guy to light a fire under the director's ass, that was the entire budget for producing the comic. Literally, I think I got $1,000 an issue for drawing the 4-issue limited series, and $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. In the time it took to say that was what they paid me for a year of work,
which speaks to how undervalued and underpaid
yes, yeah,
comic book and creators are.
Yeah, so it was not something, and I will always say that, regardless of how I received the movie, they wrote a beautiful check, and I'll always respect them for that check they wrote. And yeah, in the end, it was fine, but it's like, even a well-paid comics job it's like the craft services budget for a movie.
Oh, no, I mean, the craft services budget would pay for you a couple times over.
Yeah.
Even that's more.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all those M&Ms.
Yeah. But yeah, just not having that kind of pressure, having financiers and things like that. I can sit down at the drawing board, and every day I make decisions to make the best comic I can, and there's nothing else I'm thinking about.
And also,
what a gift.
At most, in comic collaboration, you're figuring as far as main key people on it, what, 5, 6?
Yeah.
At that, when you're bringing in, editor, assistant editor, who else might be having some kind of, it's a tiny core group to execute this thing. Whereas you're talking hundreds, if not thousands of people for start to finish on a film.
Mm-hmm. It's like the only time that I ever feel myself really wishing that I had that bigger army of craftsmen working. Sometimes, like I talked about the research for Whiteout, there are occasions when I really wish that I had specialists on the team with me. When I listen to an interview with someone who does costuming for a TV show, and the levels of thinking that they do for how they determine what a character is going to wear at this part of their journey and that part of their journey. And that's a job all by itself, and they'll spend more time thinking about the clothing than I'll spend drawing an entire story. And I would love to have support like that sometimes. Sometimes I've hired them. On Backflash, the book I did with Matt Johnson, there's a scene with a black family in a funeral, and there's a father reunited with his semi-estranged daughter. And I had no idea what a black woman in her late 20s would do with her hair, how she would dress for a funeral in this particular set of circumstances. So, and I didn't want to just make it up or, look at Instagram or something and try to find things. I wanted to get it right. I wanted to have it make sense. So I hired a consultant. There's a marvelous comics writer, Cheryl Lynn Eaton, and I reached out to her and I said, hey there, I'm working on this project. Can I hire you for a few hours of consulting for what this character should wear, what would you do with her hair and all that? And she asked me really good questions about what does the character do for a living, what does she think of her family, all that kind of stuff, and sent me back photos that she found online. Okay, she's if she looks like this person, she's probably going to have this texture of hair, so she might do something like this. And that way I could draw it and feel like I'm not going to embarrass myself by getting a detail wrong. And
do you think that's an important step on the learning journey to ask questions and
absolutely
be open to that and not feel that you're an island in these things?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you're Jack Kirby and you're making up a hell planet and a heaven planet for the gods to do battle from. But if you're drawing the real people in the real world and want things that instantly resonate with how people recognize the world, you want to get that stuff right. And I'm very aware that there's certain languages I do not speak. I don't speak the language of clothing or hair very well at all, for any culture. I had an incident once where I was walking with Joelle Jones, a great cartoonist. And we were walking behind a woman, and I saw that she was wearing a certain kind of boot, and I thought, well, that's really interesting. That's a new thing that I haven't seen before. What a cool, stylish, and interesting person is. And Joelle saw the same footwear and said, God, those shoes are 3 years ago. and I realized, okay, lesson there. Yeah, I have not been paying attention to what people wear, and if I had tried to put a character in those boots, I would have thought I was sending one message when I would have been sending a very different message to somebody who knows how to read it.
So when you're talking about sort of the work that you've done to this point, you've done creator work, creator-owned work, you've done stuff for companies as well. Is there anything outside of, fingers crossed, another shot at Whiteout that you would like to see adapted? That you would like to see somebody come in and?
I would love to see somebody adapt Underground, the book I did with Jeff Parker. It's a story about two park rangers trapped in a cave with gunmen coming after them, and it's a horror story with no supernatural elements. It's a thriller. It's incredibly claustrophobic. I tried to put as much claustrophobia on that page as cold I put on the pages of Whiteout. And I would love to see somebody film it. There have been a couple of nibbles here and there, but you know how these things go. For everything that gets made, there's 100 options that
and then suddenly something happens.
Yeah, well, yeah, or nothing ever happens, and you're in the old age home saying they put my work in paper bags.
It's still available.
It's on Comixology. Take a look. Yeah.
I'll send you a code.
Yes. Yep. Ask the pill lady. She knows where it is. Yeah.
She has the Dropbox link.
Exactly. Yeah. And what else? I'd love to see somebody adapt The Fix. That was another one where there was some nibbles, but nothing happened.
But they still exist, and things could happen at any point.
Yeah. And what I learned Whiteout, we got our first inquiry when the book came out, and in 98, and the movie came out in 2009. So that was 11 years of back and forth and back and forth.
So I was curious about that, given the dates and development time and how long all that takes. Was the movie interest one of the things that spurred on doing revisiting Whiteout and doing a new story? Knowing that, because it came out pretty close to when the film came out, was that a thing that sparked like, hey, this might be good to have and revisit that because we're talking about it?
No, we did the first one in 98 and the sequel in 99, and the movie didn't come out until 2000.
Okay, so it was a fair.
It was 10 years. Yeah, and there were like 3 different production companies attached to it. For a while, Wolfgang Peterson had the rights, which I was thrilled about because Dust Boot, or Air Force One, whatever,
Still would have known how to pull off that tone.
Yeah. And then, Reese Witherspoon's production company had it.
That Type A at the time?
Yeah. And I have a copy of that script around here somewhere. They put an alien in the script. I kind of would have liked to have seen it.
What was was that trying to play into the whole acknowledgement of the thing,
or trying to make it the thing? Yeah.
Where would that have fit into the story? Or was the alien the gold? Was that what they were trying to?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's why they were digging around there, because they're looking for the
Who's the actual murderer?
Yeah, yeah. And then finally, the Joel Silver's production company got it and gave it to Dominic Sena, and he made the movie. But yeah, there were so many scripts, so much turnaround, and again, me working at my slowest by myself in a room, 4 scripts from Greg that were probably 2 weeks each, and then me all by myself for the rest of the thing, and that was all it took to tell that story. As opposed to make a movie, it's 10 years and dozens of lawyers and craftsmen and let's try this, let's try that, and I just get incredibly grateful for how little there is in between me and my audience if I want to tell a story.
Yeah, I mean, if at its worst, you're talking what, 6 months?
Yeah, if I want to make a comic starting today, I can pivot my chair around, pull out my drawing board, and start working, and I can do 22 pages a month.
I'm sorry, the financing just fell through. We're gonna have to look for a new studio.
Yeah.
I just lost my production deal. Sorry,
yeah.
So, has there been any talk between you and Greg in the years since to revisit?
We actually started a third one. I've got, I got 26, 27 pages into it, and Greg just kind of lost steam on where the story should go and realized that it wasn't working, so we just put it aside. Someday, when we reprint the books...
I mean, it's coming up on the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, when we reprint them, we'll probably include some pages from the Never Seen threequel, squeakquel, whatever you want to. And I liked going back and revisiting the characters, and I loved the fact that I had the digital tool set to play with at the time, because doing those original pages, having to cut every bit of Zipatone and flick actual physical paint around the room made for a really messy studio. This sounds like a joke. It's 100% true. Every couple of days, I would have to pull little slivers of Zipatone out of my cat's ass.
That's more on the cat, really.
Yeah, I mean, he would swallow the stuff, but I would pull it out and have to hear that horrible yelp.
And then go back to the pages because you weren't done yet.
Back to the pages, yeah. The work is, these things aren't going to draw themselves.
So if the opportunity came up to do a new story in that world, would you?
Sure. Yeah, and anytime Greg feels like writing something for me, I'm happy.
I mean, 30th anniversary sounds like a good time to start thinking about if you two were keen on doing it.
Yeah.
Can you see finishing the story that you two had started?
Probably not.
I mean, also the whole different. I mean, would that have to be a bottle world now? I mean, think of how much the world has changed. I mean, there was no
there was no satellite internet down there then. Well, the story as it was written wouldn't work now for a variety of reasons that I won't go into. But it was very tied into the politics of America in 2007, 2008. And the vibe is very different now. And spoiler, things didn't wind up the way we thought they would. So
even revisiting the second story in some of the discussions about the geopolitical landscape and Russian mob and Gary, don't stop a Russian soldier. For a variety of reasons it wouldn't work, but for aficionados it can be neat just to see the pages. Yeah, I mean it's time for you two to start talking about that anniversary edition.
Yeah, Yeah, it really is. No, I've got 3 emails in my inbox from various folks saying, "Hey, look, we need to start gathering up the DVD extras and what have you."
So how does that, I mean, talking about the long career and so many projects being out there, how does that feel to look back on all the stuff that you have and know that these anniversaries are rolling around and how much distance there is from some of these things?
Boy, I don't think about that stuff at all, really. Because I've
Jimmy Olsen is what, almost 5 years old now, as far as the end of it?
Yep. Yeah. And, I put a lot of work into talking about the actual work. I will market the heck out of selling the stuff at my Etsy store or telling retailers that hey, there's a new edition out or things like that. But I don't think about anniversaries or where this fits in the arc of my career or anything like that, because maybe there's an arc. I don't see it. My focus is putting out today's bonfire.
To be fair, you also lit that fire.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, just making comics requires so much focus on solving the problems of an individual page that for an illustrator, it's hard to have any sort of long-term strategic approach. Instead, you just try to do the best job with the story you tell and hope that it makes sense in the broader context of your work. The closest I have to any kind of strategic plan is I'll roughly adhere to one for them, one for me. But frankly, the ones for them I've enjoyed every bit as much.
Do you have a one for me that's been sitting in a drawer for too long a time?
Well, I'm working with some friends on a project. I can't let the magic smoke out. But there's an agent who is shopping something around right now, and we'll see if that happens.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
on all of the things. I mean, it's I want to encourage everyone who's watching, listening, to go to the Helioscope shop. You have done an admirable job of you all of making these things available to get directly from you all, and the benefit also of the people can get them signed or with sketches. Oh, we do it. I can do that too. You think I'm not going to do that?
Wow.
Do you think I wasn't gonna? You think
I'm impressed.
I can also. This came in the mail from Matt, so I can also hold that up too.
Nice. That is a hard book to find.
When I heard that was a thing that was going to be done, it also was like, okay, so when are you two doing Batman? When is that going to happen? A one shot, a special, something?
Hopefully, we'll do something. The one thing I didn't get to do on that cover that I thought about really, really hard, but realized it probably wouldn't be the fairest thing to all involved was there was a lot of digging around for what movie was what was going to be showing on the marquee that Batman is standing on, and in the first pass on that cover, the movie theater was showing Sallow or 1,000 Days of Sodom, which is like the single most offensive film of all time.
Now it's Zootopia? No.
Yeah, I think so, actually. Or yeah, no, Zorro. Zorro, which is a.
I'm just gonna assume that's Zootopia.
Yes, yeah, well, or Zootopia, yeah.
Although I noticed the marquee is zoomed in,
or perhaps
it's a much tighter shot of the marquee.
Maybe it's Zoolander. It really could be any of these things.
That was at Bruce's request. That was
don't mess with the Zorro.
He's a huge fan. So, is there any? Because I have to ask, because it was such a beautiful light that Superman Spawn Jimmy Olsen series at the time. And I've said this to Matt too. You guys gotta get the band back together at some point.
We have talked about at least 2 different projects and plotted them out entirely over text. So either could happen.
So what I'm hearing is there's a plot available, so you can get started.
You
just need to start peppering gag images, just like, hey, look, here's a little snippet from it. Here's the thing we were talking about. Look at this. He's like getting you excited, Matt.
The moment that Matt has time to write,
what's he doing? What's he doing? Come on, he's barely doing anything.
Yeah, television. What's this?
He never goes anywhere. He never does anything.
Yeah, if he could put himself behind the keyboard to write it, I would draw it in a second. And I don't know if it's always going to be true of DC, but right now I think it's absolutely true that DC would go for another one.
Well, I mean, it's once I heard that there was a Jimmy Olsen TV series.
Oh yeah,
and
I still don't know if that's real or not. I mean, no, I'm the last person anyone's going to talk to about it. But I saw that it was absolutely a real thing, and then I saw that it was just a rumor. And who knows? All I know is that Skylar Gisondo was created in a laboratory to play Jimmy Olsen.
I just want to see him peeking out of a bat suit. I just need to see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've already mentally cast the characters who aren't in the movie yet, so I know who everybody should be. I want Jimmy and Metamorpho carrying a decoy corpse into Jimmy's apartment. I would kill to see this.
Listen, I'm sure you want to see him in that mustache and his disguise.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm sure you've already cast the cat.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I know who. Like Jimmy's sister. I could. Sophia Lillis would be so perfect. It's insane. I could see every bit of this.
So listen, the world needs it. So,
yes,
and I know that James Gunn is watching this right now.
I'm sending thoughts.
I'm going to hold this thing up again just to remind him that this thing.
If I'm worried, if I think about it too hard, it's going to be like Scanners. It's
going to have Skylar, little drop of blood just starts appearing.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be fair, that's a thing that would happen to Jimmy Olsen.
Yes, yeah. And the next issue wouldn't remember it at all.
He'd just be going, I got another one of my headaches.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Gosh, Miss Lane. Yeah.
Well, I also want to thank you and Matt for creating one of the most iconic existential panels for anyone who has ever done any kind of work on the internet whatsoever over the past 20 some odd years. They sure have created some content.
I know a whole bunch of professional content creators who have a little framed image of that up on their wall.
Well, I still have the postcard that you sent with my little Jimmy sketch on the back of it, and it is a prized possession. All I'm saying is, you doing conventions, we need some art prints of that panel. I need something frameable to hang up on the wall to look at in my moments of crisis.
Understood.
Sort of, and that's my touch and grass moment of going, you know what? He gets me.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for doing this.
Really fun, Ken. Thanks for so many great questions and for listening to me spout on.
This is what it is. This is what I was hoping it would be, and I'm glad we finally did it. I mean, it's frankly taken far too long to do it.
Yeah. That's the Steve Lieber experience right there. Getting me on a podcast is not easy. You've done it. So congrats.
Well, hopefully it wasn't too painful, and hopefully it was a fun journey.
Great.
And I'm encouraging everyone should follow you on your Blue Sky account and keep up with things. Is there any other place you'd like to send them beyond that you're active?
Blue Sky is the best place to find me, and far better than in person.
And Helioscope. Go check out the site. Go check out the store. Go buy some stuff. And again, I'll let you say why this is so special if people order it from you all while supplies last.
Yes. If you pick up Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, you don't just get more than 300 pages of great comics. I also will draw Jimmy inside of it. And this cover has 140 real people depicted on it on the front and back. And everyone we send out is signed by a bunch of those real people. So if you're an autograph collector, you have a head start in getting your entire book and practically all of Portland comics.
Listen, I'm not saying that I haven't looked into the distant recesses of this cover to try and choose who is actually me on this cover and just pick a random blob in the background to say I'm there. But I have done that.
I've been trying to convince DC that if we do, when it sells out, because it's really close to sold out right now, that when they do a second edition, they should let me do another 2 rows of people in the back of the crowd, and just with every edition, the crowd will just keep getting deeper.
If it happens, please,
you're in there.
I don't care if it's a back of the head. Nobody knows. I'll know. It's all that matters. It's all that matters is. There's, speaking of Backflash.
There we go.
No, this was, there's no better deal and no better gift that anyone could give themselves at this holiday season than to pick up their copy of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen directly from Helioscope.
Oh, it's that radio voice. My God.
Get it today.
Yes.
Well, let me know when you're recording ads for the stuff in the store and I'll be there for you.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a pleasure. Everyone listening, watching, please, if you are so inclined, I hate this part. I hate the whole like and subscribe thing. I hate it so much. It's so awkward. And you know what? I just pushed through it. You already know. I've said the words. You know what to do if you're going to do that. More important to me, Patreon, patreon.com/Ken Plume. At even the $1 level, people get access to every exclusive that's on there. And there's a ton of exclusive interviews and panel shows that I've done with guests, including Matt and Kelly Sue were contestants on one of the shows that I did as the mystery guests. And bit of a chats with them. I'm putting up my archive of interviews one by one. So I just put my piece with Richard Donner. I just added to the archive.
Wow.
So, I actually asked him about the Can You Read My Mind sequence and to get his thoughts on it and why it was special to him. And you know what? I wasn't asking in a snarky way, and it's a really thoughtful answer that he gave. So if you want to read about that, that's all on there. And you know what? Even if you have to become a patron to read that stuff, I would love if you did. But that stuff's free for people to do on there. And Blue Sky is the place to follow me. Instagram is sort of a placeholder. Let's be fun. Blue Sky is for now the place to go, but who knows where we'll be in the future. But wherever it is, I hope that you find Steve Lieber there. Me, if you find me, fine. Find Steve. Go. There's so much people to read. There's so much for people to read and enjoy out there. So thank you all for all of this. And thank you, Steve, for doing this. And now
thanks, folks.
We get to wave awkwardly while I press the stop button. And it's almost there.